You're listening to the City Podcast. Unadulterated, non-politically correct, unfiltered, real talk. The City from the inside out. With your hosts, Chad Cranston and Steve Mealy.
So the whole premise that I wanted to bring, well, I find it ironic that a guy that's so delved into playing footy is well, not kind of, because I guess more soccer guys are pretty much into fashion now, but you're really into football.
Well, I was. I mean, that's one thing that I've had to pretty much give up, you know, in moving to Milan, and with my schedule now, I'm traveling like, you know, every week, so I'm not able to commit to a team, you know, a competitive club anymore. I won't make the practices. I won't make all the games. So
yeah.
You know, I play a game here and there when I can, but
yeah.
You know, that's the biggest regret I have in my life right now, is not being able to play competitive soccer.
Yeah,
Isn't that ironic to move to Italy to not be able to play?
Yeah.
Rather than, you know, the other way around.
Yeah, it's a great place to do it. When I was in school there, I was able to play for a couple teams because I was there for like a year straight, and you know, my school schedule was pretty normal. But now my schedule's out of control, and you know, so it's just not possible at this phase.
Are you not even playing a little pickup on Sundays outside with the kids?
After you play competitively for so long, like, you know, the just kicking it around loses a bit of its luster.
Right. Yeah. So fashion, Christopher Bates. What is the premise? How did you start this whole thing off? And like, were you always into fashion as a young guy?
I was into it when I was a kid. My mom dressed my brothers and I really cool in the 80s. You know, we wore a lot of brands like TNC Surf Design and Chip and Pepper. And then moving into Stussy, you know, when they started. So I was aware and I was into it. And then growing up in Vancouver, I wasn't really aware of fashion as a career or an industry in which to pursue. So I started off more interested in like marketing, you know, in business. It wasn't until I did a few trips to Europe in my late teens and early 20s that I realized, you know, there was this industry out there, you know, and I knew then that I wanted to be a part of it.
Right. And for being part of that industry, like, what was the key factor? Like, was it the Stussy that you noticed back then in the days? What was it like that clicked you into wanting to design your own, like maybe not even design, but get into the industry itself, get your foot into the door and make something of it? Because like everybody's got obviously a passion in life. And for somebody to be young back then to realize that, you know, fashion is what you want to do. That industry at that time was probably a lot bigger than it is in regards to the essence of it, with the Chanels and everybody else doing some major things in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Fashions, supermodels, that kind of stuff. So what was your thing? Was it the ladies? Was it the actual cutting of the fabrics? Were you interested in making your own stuff at that time as well too?
I was into clothes. I was into shoes. It's more the design approach. I've always been a creative guy, and I just had a lot of ideas for clothes. So I started sketching when I was young. I started drawing clothes and designs and brands, like logos and things. Like I would cover my desk in school with these really small illustrations. And I remember one of my teachers, you know, walked by my desk one time, and he was half chiding me for not paying attention because I was just drawing all the time. And he said, "Oh, you should be a graphic designer." And I thought that was cool. You know, that was in like, you know, grade 8 or something. And I was like, "Oh, graphic designer, that sounds cool." You know, nobody would have thought of being a fashion designer, you know, then.
No.
So like I said, it wasn't until I was really, it must have been 2005, and I was in Stockholm, and that was kind of my eureka moment, because I was walking down their shopping street and I was just totally inspired by all the individuality and the cool style that I saw. That's when I thought, you know, there's people here who would like my ideas. You know, I got their style, and I think they would like my style. They would appreciate it. So then that's when I decided, you know, I really wanted to do fashion with my life. I wanted to be a designer.
Right, but coming from Vancouver, like you can't really constitute yourself as Canadian because you've been raised internationally. You're a Canadian, but you have a lot of flavor to you, and especially at a young age.
Yeah.
What were your parents doing back then?
My father was a stockbroker, and my mom was a teacher, and then she was pretty much raising us full time. She paints. My aunt is also a great painter. My cousin is a great painter. So there is some, you know, artistic blood, I would say, in the family. Yeah. But no one in fashion.
Mm-hmm. And so your dad, but he instilled these kind of traits of being business oriented in fashion. I mean, the creative aspect is the fun part, but for most people, as you know, the business acumen is a big thing. Whether it's gonna, you know, make or break yourself. Yeah,
I think it really helps that I have a background in business. So after high school, I did a Bachelor of Arts at UBC. Then I studied marketing communications at BCIT. And then I worked for a small marketing firm in Vancouver for 5 years. Right. And that really has helped, you know, shape my brand. I understood what it meant to create a brand, how to market and how to do PR and things like that are, you know, intrinsic to being successful. Aside from having a great product, you know, you have to have both.
You have to have both at all times.
Yeah.
It's very important, actually.
Yeah.
Very, very, very important. So do you enjoy, if I take a look back at the 90s and 80s, there's a lot of good aspects. And I think the partying aspect of the fashion industry, ranging from all the way overseas to Paris, Italy, coming into New York, set a massive precedence. And I think it got us a big name. Fashion got its big, the supermodels, I guess you could say, got their names from that. Do you enjoy that aspect of it?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't part of the industry.
Don't give me the square, because I don't want to hear the square stuff.
No, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you raw. When I wasn't involved in the industry at all until I started my line.
Yeah.
Once I started my line, I became aware of, you know, opportunities that came along with the business to, you know, celebrate and have fun and party. Yeah. You know, there were limousines. You're surrounded by models. Like,
you married?
Fun. No, I'm not married.
No. You thinking about it?
I would like to one day, but you know, right now I'm really focused on my career. So, you know, that's my priority right now.
You amped up those questions.
Well, that's what. Well, I do that.
Boom, are you married?
You like fashion. What about marriage? Just stop screwing around here.
Well, I mean, like it's.
His mom put you up to this.
I understand it because you know what I mean, as an entrepreneur, you either go one way or the other. There's no median, really. If you're driven as hard as you really want to be driven,
that's right.
And especially living in a city like Toronto and going overseas and competing in that market, whatever market you're in, whatever market Spiro, myself, you're dealing with. I mean, it's very hard to be a family man. Come home at like 6 o'clock and eat dinner when you have.
You won't come home. You don't come home. You don't come home. You're traveling as well.
Majority of the time.
Traveling all the time. Yeah. Even when I'm in Italy, like Milan is my kind of base now. It is my office. Yeah. But when I'm in Italy, you know, every week I'm going for meetings somewhere else in Italy. I'm going to the factories, sometimes in the south. So you're gone, you know, 2, 3, 4 days at a time. Yeah. You know, and then you're traveling around Europe. You're traveling to North America.
That's amazing.
I've been to the Middle East, China. Like, you know, my goal is to develop an international brand. Yeah. So you start sowing those seeds, you know,
work with distributors.
Early.
Right.
Distributors, suppliers.
That's right.
Shows, whether it's something like Project New York or full-on runway shows like here, you're constantly go.
Yeah.
Rigorous schedule, right?
That's right.
So when it comes down to the market duplicating and you see a lot of fake items, it's kind of intrinsic in the market right now. How do you defend or protect your brand, because you're relatively pretty new, and you know that's what usually happens when the first brands come out, like the Supremes, the Street Couture that's out there right now. Like, how do you protect yourself from it?
Well, first of all, I believe having an authentic product is more important nowadays than ever. And that's one of the reasons I moved to Italy and produce everything in Italy. You know, that's where you can find these materials that are, you know, quite particular. They're special. They're different. Yeah. And then the craftsmanship. You know, I produce my line in about 9 different factories, because each factory is like a small to medium-sized artisanal, factory.
Yeah.
It's literally
Yeah.
like craftsmanship is an authentic term here.
Right.
And each of these facilities specialize in one type of product. I have someone that does knit sweaters. I have someone else that does woven sweaters. Somebody that does dress shirts. Somebody does casual pants. Someone that does suitings. And each of them really specialize in these products. So they're not just doing like run of the mill examples of each of these styles. They're able to do things that are a little bit different. They have different techniques. They're also willing to try new things that you develop. So we kind of experiment together, and our goal is to come up with these, products that can compete and thrive in such a saturated marketplace. Right. It's really challenging.
And so are you making your price points the equivalent to the craftsmanship? Say if I'm somebody that knows nothing about Christopher Bates' line, and I see it in the stores for the first time here in Toronto, I'm wondering, how do I compare something from Christopher Bates to something like one of the designers from Comme des Garçons or something like that?
That's a really good question. I mean, first you mentioned is pricing, and the truth is that the market is very price sensitive. So even though I have, this made in Italy product and it's a nice quality of material and production, it still has to be at a good price point, because you're right. Who's Christopher Bates? My brand doesn't have as much cachet yet as, say, Armani or D Squared or Cavalli or these established brands.
You want to be up there?
Yeah, that's my goal, is to get there.
Yeah.
But how did those brands get there? Yeah. And Armani is a great example. He got there on riding this wonderful made in Italy quality, these materials and this production. I mean, nowadays it's changed a little bit. So if you're going to compare an Armani shirt with a Christopher Bates shirt, you should look at it closely. Look at the materials, look at the quality of craftsmanship, and then look where it's made on the label, because you'll be surprised.
That's what me and Spiro were just talking. Were we just talking about that before? Like we're because we've sourced out a lot of fabrics for the street couture back in the days, have been to mainland China and that kind of stuff, and saw a lot of similarities between at that time would be a Louis Vuitton the scarves. So the scarves, the fabric, the material, just as phenomenal as the stuff that when we brought it back home to go into the stores here to see it, like exact same. But obviously, the stuff's fake. I don't know if it's fake. I mean, I can't really speak volumes for that, but like the fabrics were the exact same. Right. So when it comes down to like you sourcing out your fabrics, are you going to places like Turkey or are you sticking right in Italy with the fabrics and that kind of stuff as well too?
Italy.
All Italy.
Yeah. So
nothing's coming outsourced. Nothing's coming outside of Italy.
Nope.
Awesome.
No. Some of the raw materials do. For example, there's wool that comes from Australia and New Zealand. That's where they make most of the world's wool. But then the mill itself, yes, it's in Italy. I go to a fair twice a year in Milan called Milano Unica. And that's where I find the most of my materials and ahead of the season. So I was at that show maybe 2 weeks ago, and we were working on fall 18. So we're already fall 18, winter 19, like we're a full year and a half ahead of schedule.
Must be
that's when it starts.
Good feeling.
Yeah.
Are you using the trend forecasters for that?
So they have a trend kind of forecast area at the fair. So
that is by Preclair's?
Sorry?
Is it run by Preclair? Is that the name of the?
I'm not sure.
There's a couple of them.
There's a couple of them?
Yeah, a couple companies that actually run like those trend forecasts, but I don't know what you have set up at the conference.
At the fair, they have one specific area, and it's where each of the mills contributes a few of their fabrics that they feel are on trend or ahead of the trend, and then that's often where we start. We start there, we go through this area, we make our notes. Oh, this is kind of cool, or I hadn't heard of that mill, and this is great, so we'll go check that out. But at this phase, I have 2 or 3 like core mills that I work with for a few seasons now that are doing the type of things that I need. Very good quality, a little bit different, and a good price point. If you can find that, like, it's gold.
So what makes you Christopher Bates, man, on a daily basis?
That's it.
I'm not
Hold on. Okay.
It's all in there.
Well, I think what you're talking is like, not just me, but also me as the brand. Do you mean? Or
well, no, I mean, you as a brand is you as the brand, but you like, I'm talking to you now, and I'm seeing a guy that's very, very fucking driven. and it's a great thing to see because it motivates me to be that way as well too.
Mm-hmm.
But there is more that, like, once you close your doors and maybe at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or at night, there's another part of you that lets go. It calms down a little. I don't know if it's possible to.
Dude, I'm calm. I'm calm.
No, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Like, not creatively thinking because some people call it ADD, but I just call it a creative mind.
Right.
All the time, you need to be building something at all times. It could be at 4 o'clock in the morning. You have a great idea, but there's a little bit of peak of a time where Christopher Bates is like, okay, I got to put it down and just put some headphones on and listen to some music or watch a TV show, or whatever have you.
Okay, so that
when does that person come into play?
Okay,
when does it?
Yeah, whenever I get a chance. But the truth is, I almost always have a pen and paper with me, or I use my phone because ideas come to you at the strangest times, and you've got to be ready. And a lot of them do come to you in the middle of the night. So I'm often up, and I turn on the light, and I'm drawing or writing down my ideas.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's
not crazy.
It's not ideal either though, because I put a lot of energy into each day. There's a lot of work, and I also I like to do other things. I like to play sports, so I try and do something athletic every day. I like spending time with friends. I love watching movies. I love listening to music. So there's a lot of things I'm passionate about. Cooking is a hobby. And
I can see that. I was going to say that you must be probably a good cook.
I'm learning. I really enjoy it, and it's something that does calm me down. Mm-hmm. It's almost like a meditative process because when you're cooking, you're really just focusing on that.
Right.
Because I'm enjoying it, and like I'm kind of meticulous, and
you don't want to start a fire.
Huh?
And you don't want to start.
Yeah, and you don't want to burn the place down. I mean,
yeah. Is there a fear of failure?
No. I think when I started this, my mindset was I made a commitment to myself, and I said no fear, burn the ships. It's success or death. There's no in between.
There's no in between.
There's nothing.
That's a competitive level.
Yeah,
that a lot of people don't have.
Listen,
it's alpha. It's very alpha.
Yeah, I think you have to be successful in this business because it's really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
When I was starting the business, I met with John Fluvog, the Canadian shoe designer, and he was
West Coast guy.
West Coast guy. That's right. So he was kind enough to meet with me in Vancouver, and we sat down and got right into it. He said his first question was, "How brave are you?" And that's totally apt. That's the best question to ask someone who is serious about getting into this business. He's right. So I said, John, like I don't have those limits or fears. I'm in.
Maybe not Fluvog brave, because I've seen his I actually bought his shoes in 93, 94, way back.
Yeah,
I remember buying them back way. But he's pretty out there.
Yeah, he's got a funky eclectic style, and that's his, and it's working.
Very daring.
Yeah,
it's worked.
Yeah,
it's still around everywhere.
Yeah,
and so it's. So continue with that story. Like, what else did they? I mean, obviously, Fluvog's got a lot to say. I met with him before too, and he's a very interesting man.
He is. Yeah, he's a great entrepreneur. He also told me, the only way to be successful is to open your own stores. He said that was really, really key. Now I haven't done that yet. He might be right, but I'm following my own route. I'm starting off focusing on wholesale, working with established retailers. We've launched our e-commerce recently on our website. So that's a new channel for us.
And accessories too.
Yep.
Some sick sunglasses.
Thank you. Yeah. We've started a men's and women's. It's a unisex eyewear line. And then we do shoes as well.
Yeah.
So our shoes are national with Harry Rosen. They're national with Browns.
Nice.
And we're continuing to evolve in that sector.
I think also too, the fortune has come into play where because of your bravery, a lot of the companies that reside, or head office that reside, like the Davidson, you mentioned Harry Rosen.
Harry Rosen.
Are you Holt Renfrew?
No, not in Holtz.
Okay, so we don't mention Holtz, but because of your bravery, I feel that they're more apt to accepting your brand and welcome you in and wanting to have you be successful in the city or right across Canada, for that's the world.
There's got to be a support factor, support Canadian, right?
Yeah,
you're taking a lot of steps a lot of people haven't done, and I've noticed like some brands will try, but they don't take it to. They go 85% of their 100%.
Yeah,
and you have to go that one step further to like crack that door open. So there's like, okay, welcome. Just like a pig tartan and like, you know, Joe Mimram and who else is out there? The Greater Constantines and everybody else that are doing phenomenal stuff. You're up there, you know, not in a short time because you've been around, you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a few things. I mean, being Canadian is kind of that's just a bonus. Like you're not going to get in because you're Canadian. That's just like it's nice that you're also Canadian because then you'll get a bit of a kick from press and local support. Yeah. But aside from that, you do have to have a product that can stand with the best in the world. Yeah. If you're putting my brand into Harry Rosen, who are you kicking out?
Right.
But that's like, you know,
they have the best brands in the world. Right. So it's very competitive space to be in.
Conversation with, this is something way back with Jeannie Becker. She brought it up. And that is, you know, fashion art, part of the arts, right? Like music. So the CRTC will come down and say, look, a certain percentage of radio programming and TV music programming has to be Canadian content. Right. So why aren't we doing that with fashion?
I don't think we should, to be honest. I think that Canadian fashion deserves support in other ways. It should be part of the arts, yes, but I don't think you can tell a retailer that they have to take a certain amount of you know, Canadian products necessarily. I think if Canadians are actually going to be successful, they have to look beyond Canada anyway. So if your product,
music, though, I mean, would Canadian music be so big on the international scene had they not made those strides and implemented this Canadian content thing way back when they did? Yeah. And are we shortchanging the fashion industry as a result?
In a way. I mean, with music, it's different because you have broadcast media. So yeah, you can tell them, okay, you have to play some Canadian songs, but it's different than selling a store. You have to put in Canadian products because if you can't make people buy it, you know what I mean? So what I'm saying is the brand has to be strong enough on its own. If it's Canadian, it's a bonus. But the government can support fashion in, you know, things like fashion shows. Like they can put money
incubators and stuff like that.
Yeah, and because then doing fashion shows, getting media attention, you know, that's a great way to raise your brand profile. And right now, the government doesn't really contribute, as far as I know, very much to these type of events. Right. That would be very helpful.
Right. And I guess another factor too is supply and the demand for the product, because like that's another thing that I've noticed. A lot of brands that are independent have failed. You know, they try to jump and go big and get those meetings with those big stores, but then when the numbers are coming to play, the 20 or 30,000 units are coming, or whatever the units are, even if it's 5,000, if they can't supply that demand, they're pretty much out the door right away.
Yeah, that's true. You only get one chance with the majors, really. If you can't deliver on time what they've ordered, they'll tell you, you know, don't call us anymore. Right. You know, that's big business. It's serious. That's a big opportunity. So you shouldn't even be pitching a retailer until you are sure that you can deliver. You know, you need to have the financing. You need to have the production lined up first. This is what I've been working on for so long. And this is why when I talk to a store like Nordstrom or Harry Rosen, they already know I've been in business. This is my 16th season that I'm working on right now.
16 seasons.
Yeah, it's 16 seasons. So it's, you know, I've been in business 9 years. So if you have that track record, then, you know, they can see that you're serious and, you know, you're gonna deliver.
Did you learn anything from the guys that have failed? They failed, but the ones that just said, okay, well, we got to stop because, one, I don't know if we're following the trends popular, if the product is not popular with the trends itself, or, you know, again, maybe not being able to supply the demand of what's required of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories of failure in fashion. You know, very few brands actually make it. Some that I'm familiar with, they opened stores, and that was you know, very big mistake for that particular brand, because then their overhead skyrocketed. And you have to think of your organization and what your strengths are. Yeah, I have no retail experience whatsoever. So what makes me think that I should be a retailer? I should focus on my strengths now, and I know what those are, and it's developing a great product, it's marketing and branding. But retail, no, I'd have to have partners for that who are from that field, and also the financing to, you know, make sure you have enough in the bank to run the store for the time that it needs to give it a fair chance.
Yeah.
I was just gonna quickly ask, what are your 3 hottest markets?
It's really right now. I'm doing business in Canada and Italy.
Those are
Yeah,
big.
everything else is small.
Why is it? Some of the brands I've worked with, the blog and influencer type stuff and photography. I've noticed that for some reason, once in a while, a Canadian brand really takes off in Japan.
Yeah.
What is it with Canadian brands in Japan?
I don't know if there's a direct correlation between Canada and Japan, but I know that Japan is a big market, and they spend a lot of money on fashion, and if something's successful there, it can really catch fire. And that is a market I'm actively speaking with right now. So I'm looking into Japan. We're getting some great leads in Germany, and we're also trying to get into the US. So those are some of the markets that we're looking at right now.
US, proximity and volume of the potential for volume of sales, right?
Exactly. And they have some great retailers down there, like Nordstrom,
Hard to
Saks,
crack,
Neiman Marcus.
Hard to
Yeah, they're
crack.
really tough.
The best strategy, do you think things like Project and like those trade show type menswear?
I don't know. I've been to those shows. I haven't exhibited at them. I wasn't impressed. I didn't feel they fit my brand.
They're a little more street wear type thing.
Yeah, exactly. And what I'm doing is a little more elegant and sophisticated. So the surroundings, it didn't fit. What I'm doing is I'm finding out who the buyers are, contact them directly, and getting appointments. So we have a showroom in Milan, we have a showroom in Toronto, and if they're not available there, the last 2 seasons I've actually gone to Seattle and presented to Nordstrom at their head office in Seattle.
What is everybody asking you for? Like when you meet these buyers, is there one question they're all asking, even though they don't know each other? Are they all coming to you saying, "I need to know this"? Answer this.
I wish there was one magic question. It's not that. There's so many different things.
Something as simple as, so tell me who's wearing Christopher Bates right now.
No.
Do they all hit you with that, or
They don't
give
ask
me your financials, or
No, they want to know, where do you see yourself fitting in on their floor? You've got to be ready to answer that. So it's like, brand adjacencies, within their brand matrix, price points.
Sounds like a test.
It is. No, it's literally a test. So every time before I meet with a major, and I've done this in Nordstrom the last 2 seasons, I've gone to their local store, I've talked to their staff, I've toured the entire floor, I've made notes of every piece, every price point, and every brand that they have. And then I go with the
man
meeting.
does his homework, man.
I go to the meeting.
Man does his homework.
This is like serious. I'm wondering, does the average designer do this?
Probably not. Probably not.
Well, now we're giving it.
What's your background? Okay, if I can ask. Like, what's your parents like? It's a weird question. A black guy asking a white guy.
Nationality.
What's your nationality? Bates, is it English, British?
It's so it's originally German. It was
German.
Bates.
I knew it.
Baetz, and
Bates.
then my grandfather changed it to Bates. He anglicized it.
Right.
So that's on my dad's side. There's German heritage. My mom's is quite mixed. There's Swedish, English, Irish, and
That's
Scottish.
where the precision comes from.
Perhaps.
Yeah. It's
But-
a correlation. I don't care what anybody
But
says.
both
There's a
of my
precision.
both of my parents were born in Winnipeg, so I'm Canadian, and 3 of my grandparents were also born in Canada. So I'm very Canadian.
You're very Canadian.
Yeah,
You shoveled snow.
they did. I'm from Vancouver. We don't get that much.
His great grandparents shoveled snow.
Yes, they did a lot of it.
Yeah.
We can't say that.
So a question about the street couture. We kind of Spiro asked about product. Like, would you be willing? A lot of lines are now collaborating with high-end lines. Gucci's doing a lot of stuff. I know Supreme's matched up. What is
Louis Vuitton.
with Louis Vuitton?
Yeah.
Which is massive. A lot of people are trying to go the other direction and make their own stuff and pricing it at $800 up for clothing.
Yeah.
For an item, but where now you're seeing a Supreme can do because of Louis Vuitton.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned something too about the fabrics once again. That was you that mentioned the fabric. No, somebody mentioned something. I was talking to somebody about the fabrics, and like they found that Supreme's fabrics were a little bit better than Louis Vuitton's, or they didn't find that it was the same
For the collaboration.
Like, for the collaboration
not
itself.
the regulars.
No, not the regular
Supreme
stuff because
is
they
like
weren't used to
it's
it.
like a skateboard, skate.
That's
culture kind of thing.
street stuff.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to make you think would you do that? Would you cross that path? And if one of them said, "Okay, Christopher, we would love to do a collaboration with you on a shoe or whatever have you, or one-off, an exclusivity, one-off, and get into that younger demographic of the 18 to 24-year-olds that are actually having a little bit of money that can spend a little bit of money for it. Would you be willing to do that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it just has to make sense for my brand. There's a lot of companies out there I'd love to collaborate with.
Cool.
I can't really say yet because like one of them we are doing a collaboration on, but I can't drop it yet. Yeah. So stay tuned. We have an exciting one.
I'm always staying.
We have an exciting collaboration coming up. So it is something that we have a few to be honest in the works now. And you know, they're ones that I'm excited about. They make sense, and I think it's a great opportunity. It's a smart way of doing business nowadays.
Right,
it's like musicians, you know, that have guest appearances by other artists on their albums, and then guess what? You end up getting, you know, both fan bases. Or it's a movie with a bunch of different actors in it, and some people like this actor and some people like this actor. So you know, the movie gets more of a draw. The same thing can happen in fashion.
Do you find them approaching you or you approaching them? Or is
Both.
it 50-50?
Both. Right now we're very proactive, but we're also, the phone's ringing. A lot of people are contacting us wanting to do things now, and there's a lot of opportunities around the world. It's exciting.
What's your best marketing tool right now? Like, what do you think has been the most effective for you for marketing? Has it been going to shows, doing fashion shows, pure like digital space, traditional word of mouth, friends, influential people wearing the clothes and liking and talking? Which of all these things is like number one on the list?
For me, it's been the event marketing.
Yeah.
Doing the shows, doing trunk shows. You know, that
more intimate.
Well, I mean, the shows are big, and the trunk shows.
The fashion shows.
The fashion shows, runway shows. I mean, that's really, it's a great vehicle for the people that are there. It's exciting experience, you know, with the brand, and then we also get you know, a lot of media attention from that, and demand for the clothes, and you know, those, it's helped build my brand.
One,
maybe in Toronto. My first show was in Vancouver.
Yeah, in Toronto.
In Toronto.
Remember.
Yeah.
Way back.
Yeah, I think in early.
2011,
my first show here was in 2009, I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
Toronto Fashion Week.
I was there in 2000.
With Got Style. It was in the Got Style show.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was when it was at the Heritage Building, just actually behind us. No, they were doing it at the CNE, like right back there.
The first one I did
They were still doing
was
LG,
City
LG
Place.
Fashion Week at the time.
No, it was L'Oreal.
L'Oreal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, man.
That was before LG.
Before
Yeah,
LG
before
was
LG.
L'Oreal, I just remember being at the CNE
Yeah.
when I started.
Hey, would you how about New York?
I love New York. I'm really keen to expand there for sure.
I see you more. I don't see, you know, not that I don't see New York, but I see you making traction and doing best at Pity.
Yeah, you're right. In terms of trade shows, yes, for trade shows. Yeah, for sure.
Like that's and they're doing a lot of big name fashion runway shows there too, are they not?
It's the best show for what I do. Yeah, it's fantastic.
But that's like, I see you really excelling on that.
Yeah.
Stage.
I've been there. I go pretty much every season, attend. We do have meetings there. We walk the floor. You know, it's an investment, you know, a show. And it's, you know, we kind of already know who we want to retail with, and we reach out to them. Maybe once the brand's a little bit bigger, it will make sense to do a show.
More of a bang for the buck than doing New York, where
that's my impression. Yeah, I wasn't impressed, you know, by the shows there.
I think they're mixing the shows. They went separate. Are they still doing different? Like it used to be just one fashion week. Then it got into New York was never doing a men's week. Now they're doing a men's week. Are they sticking to it, or?
I think they're sticking to the men's week. Yeah, they're still going to have that. I think they're still having it. Yeah.
That's new for New York.
Mm-hmm.
London's great too.
Yep.
London's on fire. I mean, London is probably, to me, the best fashion week, I think, for menswear. London's the most exciting.
Why is that?
Many reasons. Heritage, Savile Row, all that, and then you have Topman that sponsors this. Oh man, what's it called? New something. They sponsor a lot of up and coming designers to host like a shared show, so they really like work with recent grads and up and coming stars. And I mean, the eccentricity, the craziness. Yeah,
they London men's, I would say, has the most avant-garde men's designer showing right now, for sure.
It's got the most most traditional brands as well at the same time, right? You get the Savile Row heritage, you know, I mean, everything Dax and I mean, all the Burberry's back there. They've been back there for a while. They brought it back from Milan to London. A couple of the other big sellers, Lou Dalton, a bunch of others.
Very interesting. It's a good thing that Spiro's here because I don't know nothing about high fashion. And it's the purpose that I brought him in is to be able to talk the bigger stuff that I don't. My aspect is to know a lot about like what you do, and as an entrepreneur, what others that are listening to the podcast can learn from you that want to take it to the next level. And I'm not talking about doing the runways here in Toronto. I'm not talking about doing one-off shows for the university, whatever have you, but seriously taking stab at it, that 2% that really want to take a stab at it that are just as serious or want to be just as serious as you.
Yeah. Well, I think
what is the first step? What is the second step? And
you've got to find some type of a niche, you know, something, some space in the market. And it might not be a whole collection. It might be one product. You know, I'm advising, I do meet with other aspiring designers and I tell them, you know, start small, you know, don't give in to the pressure of starting an entire collection, you know, find one product that you can do really well. And there's been so many brands who have started like that. Canada Goose is an interesting example. I mean,
Ralph Lauren with the ties.
Yeah, Ralph Lauren started with ties and Canada Goose started with a parka of all things. And now they have a colossal empire. Yeah. So there's different ways to, you know, to break into the industry. When I met with Nordstrom last season, they said they wanted to see more of a specialization in like one category, for example. Like maybe they'll pick up my blazers that are good for travel or something, and that's where they're going to build that out and merchandise it, rather than you know taking a few shirts, a few pants, a few jackets, and mix it up. They're not really buying like that as much. No. And so I think.
What do you see like really like of your offering? What do you see like really taking off? More of the accessories? Is it more good old fashioned suits?
So the suits have been popular, but more as separates. So that's
mix and match.
That's one, mix and match, and that's one of the focuses of our spring collection. Our knitwear is phenomenal, and that's one of the strengths of producing in Italy because these factories are doing outstanding knits.
Is it Loro Piana?
Loro Piana does. They do more. They do wool, and I think they have some cashmere sweaters as well.
Their sheep get like a spa treatment or something.
Right.
Like they live the life. They eat the best food. They get massaged or all this conditioners in their conditioners. No, they live. They have blankets. They have jackets that they wear.
Like, so you being serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
No, they do.
That's the difference right then and there. The little things
they're famous
like
for
that.
For their wool. Right?
Yeah, so Zegna is a good example too. I think they can tell you where the wool comes from. Because I think they're totally vertical. They own the farms and they collect the wool, then they mill it themselves, and then they also make the suits from the final product. So
I'm sure they sell a lot of fabric to other.
They do, yeah.
Designers that you wouldn't.
I use fabrics from Zegna. Yeah. They're amazing.
So what's in it for the future? We have a little bit of time left, and I know that this guy's a busy dude. So I'm glad that you came in and spent some time with us. But what's in it for the future? And I want you to plug yourself into as much as possible, so people know where to find you.
Reveal all this. He's got all this stuff he wants to say.
He can say the little basics and the generics.
To tell us, but he can't tell us.
No, I'm. No, there's lots to talk about still. We've recently launched our e-commerce. I mentioned that before. We have men's and women's Kiss shirts, my signature product, as well as our unisex sunglasses, and it's available. We ship free around the world. It's included. My uniforms. I've designed the new uniforms for Air Canada, which I'm really happy, honored about that.
Way back when.
No, now we can.
You were dropping hints. It's Canadian.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was it. It was Canadian big. So
and you couldn't guess what it was.
No, I couldn't. You really caught me on that one. I didn't even think that it would go that direction. That's awesome. It looked good.
So they're in production right now, and they'll be wearing them. Looks like early next year, which is great.
We closed out the fashion show with that.
Yeah, a mini presentation. That's right. And then our footwear is doing really well at Harry Rosen and Browns. We're in lots of great boutiques with our clothing in Italy now, which is an honor. If you can, I think, if you can get into these stores in that market, there's a lot of potential for us in other markets. So
yeah, you can bring that to the States or to Canada and say,
Yeah.
look, we're in
Right.
XYZ, so
Yeah.
what's the problem here?
Yeah, no, there's no problems. Yeah, the clothes, you know, we're working on a big order for spring right now for a Canadian retailer. So
Right.
yeah, we'll be
really cool.
national.
But, I mean, I just had a quick question. What's your favorite hottest new trend that you see on the horizon? Let's talk fall. Summer's gone, spring, summer.
Okay.
Coming up in fall, like what's a must have for the guys here? What's something that's new and exciting that maybe you haven't seen before? It's from the past and it's come back.
Yeah, there's a couple things. One, I would say, you know, a mock neck or a volcano neck or a turtleneck sweater. But pairing that, you know, with a blazer, that look is back.
Coming back.
Yeah, it's back.
Yeah,
It looks really smart.
Okay.
It's very sharp.
Yeah, you pulled that off.
Yeah.
Recently at the Shark Party for
Yeah,
Tiff.
Yeah.
Did that.
It's a strong look. It's not just a trend. It's genuinely a
It's not just for
strong
Steve
look.
Jobs, right?
No. Because he was wearing it with dad jeans and sneakers. Like, the other thing is pleated pants. You know, and it sounds bizarre, but they're completely back and they look fantastic. The volume has changed a little bit, so even though there's pleats, there is still some good volume in the waist and upper leg, but from the knee down, it is in tapered pant, so it's not like it's voluminous everywhere like the old ones.
Like the 90s.
And it looks it looks really fresh. I love it. Oversized coats are great, you know, for your top coat, having it just a little bit bigger and flowing, you know, is really
I don't know
nice.
if that works on the big guys like us.
Doesn't-
I think it works on the slim dudes.
Slim guys,
For
yeah.
guys like us, we just love
Because it's big.
like, we're
You don't want
showing
more
up for
volume.
Yeah.
NFL draft day.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
Like in a
It's our
really
first suit
big
ever.
suit,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? That dad gave us.
Yeah,
says,
yeah.
Just wear this. Should be good.
You know, and the other thing with pleats is pleats aren't like just pleats. Like you can have single, double.
Yeah, and you can have them closed as well, so it can be
Closed.
almost more of a detail rather than adding
like a
volume.
dart or something.
Yes, like
I
a
would
dart.
go with a single. Maybe I can handle.
Yeah, I've got a pair of doubles, and they're really cool.
Can we pull it off, Chad and I here?
Yeah,
My legs aren't as big as yours. I think I got
No,
long
yours are
legs.
bigger.
My legs aren't bigger than yours. I don't know. Doesn't really matter.
Hey, you know what?
Doesn't
You gotta
matter. You're not getting us-
You
don't
gotta
you're not
wear it
getting
with
us some
confidence. I think is what it comes down to.
yeah, don't just listen to me or anyone. You've got to try it on yourself and look in the mirror and be like, is this something I can pull off? Because not everybody can pull off
Yeah, you're right.
everything.
Yeah.
Several seasons now, menswear designers have been pushing so hard on volume.
Yeah.
Bye skinny jeans. We're talking like baggy pants, baggy overcoats, baggy shirt. I mean, are you jumping on that baggy bandwagon like
No.
guys?
I've listed the things that I think, you know, like the pants having a little bit more of a relaxed fit. Yeah, I'm cool with the oversized coats, but not goofy oversized. I'm talking about just slightly, maybe half size bigger than you normally wear, just for that type of volume. Yeah, I like that. But otherwise, you know, I like my shirts still fitted. I like the sweaters still fitted. And I still like fitted pants as well. I'm offering a few different styles of pants now.
I've given it like thought and I've given it a try, and I found what works is you can go slim or normal with the top and a little loose baggy on the bottom, or reversed. It doesn't work when they're both baggy.
Yeah, and
It's
then you
like
look kind of
Volume
sloppy.
on the pants looks nice
Mhm.
when the top comes up nice and
Yeah,
fitted, and you know what I mean,
Mhm.
or the other way around. So that's what I found works for me.
yeah, it's a good approach.
Can't do total loose or total tight.
I can't do this. I can't do it either. I'm not comfortable with it. I'm just not.
And that's why I think
Right.
that idea of yours with the coat really works, because if your suit is nice, I'm
Yeah.
not talking about skin tight or
No,
anything,
no.
but fits right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and a little bit of volume on the coat will look really nice.
Yeah.
Makes a statement.
That's right.
Very good. Well, Mr. Bates, it's that time. You don't have to go.
Yes, I do.
You have to go. All right. Thanks for tons. Also, social media aspect of things. Where can people find you? The .com.
Okay, so yes, our website
E-com.
is christopherbates.com. Instagram is christopher.bates.official, and our Facebook is still cbates menswear.
And e-com can be purchased on all the platforms.
Yeah, christopherbates.com. Yeah,
It's great.
that's right. Yeah, check it out.
All right, my man. Thank you very much for coming on. And can we have you back on next year to find out this big secret you've been talking about?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Of course.
done. We're gonna book this in. Victoria, we're booking them in.
It's
For another year
it's,
for the sake of-
it's Sheila.
Oh, sorry. Did I say Victoria? I'm sorry, Sheila.
Not even
She's in-
close.
What's wrong with Victoria? Victoria.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, it's a beautiful name.
It's a beautiful name.
You look like a Victorian.
No.
It's all good. Okay, well, this is the City Podcast. My special host tonight was Spiro Mandylor and my man Christopher Bates. We look forward to having you again, and all the blessings and success to you. We're very proud of you. So keep it up and keep on inspiring, man.
The next podcast out of live from Italy, hopefully.
That'd be nice if he's
Around the
gonna.
budget.
I think he'd probably have a yacht, his yacht by then.
I think, yeah. If we get a sponsor on board, hit up, all these Italian guys, Peroni.
This is the City Podcast.
men's designers showing right now, for
and
sure.
It's got the most traditional brands as well at the same time, right? You get the Savile Row heritage, everything Dax, and all the Burberry's back there. They've been back there for a while. They brought it back from Milan to London. A couple of the other big sellers, Lou Dalton, a bunch of others.
Very interesting. It's a good thing that Spiro's here because I don't know nothing about high fashion, and it's the purpose that I brought him in is to be able to talk the bigger stuff that I don't. My aspect is to know a lot about like what you do, and as an entrepreneur, what others that are listening to the podcast can learn from you that want to take it to the next level. And I'm not talking about doing the runways here in Toronto. I'm not talking about doing one-off shows for the university and whatever have you, but seriously take a stab at it. That 2% that really want to take a stab at it, that are just as serious or want to be just as serious as you.
Yeah. Well, I think
what is the first step? What is the second step? And
you've got to find some type of a niche, something, some space in the market. And it might not be a whole collection. It might be one product. I'm advising, I do meet with other aspiring designers, and I tell them, start small, don't give in to the pressure of starting an entire collection, find one product that you can do really well. And there's been so many brands who have started like that. Canada Goose is an interesting example.
Ralph Lauren with the ties.
Yeah, Ralph Lauren started with ties, and Canada Goose started with a parka of all things, and now they have a colossal empire. Yeah. So there's different ways to to break into the industry. When I met with Nordstrom last season, they said they wanted to see more of a specialization in like one category, for example. Like maybe they'll pick up my blazers that are good for travel or something, and that's where they're going to build that out and merchandise it, rather than taking a few shirts, a few pants, a few jackets, and mix it up. They're not really buying like that as much. No. And so I think.
What do you see like really like of your offering? What do you see like really taking off? More of the accessories? Is it more good old fashioned suits?
So the suits have been popular, but more as separates. So that's
mix and match.
That's one, mix and match, and that's one of the focuses of our spring collection. Our knitwear is phenomenal, and that's one of the strengths of producing in Italy, because these factories are doing outstanding knits.
Is it Loro Piana?
Loro Piana does. They do more. They do wool, and I think they have some cashmere sweaters as well.
Their sheep get like a spa treatment or something.
Right.
Like they live the life. They eat the best food. They get massaged or all this conditioners in their conditioners. No, they live. They have blankets. They have jackets that they wear.
Like, so you being serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
No, they do.
That's the difference right then and there. The little things
they're famous for
like that.
For their wool. Right?
Yeah. So Xenia is a good example too. I think they can tell you where the wool comes from. Because I think they're totally vertical. They own the farms and they collect the wool, then they mill it themselves, and then they also make the suits from the final product. So
I'm sure they sell a lot of fabric to other.
They do. Yeah.
Designers that you would.
I use fabrics from Xenia. Yeah. They're amazing.
So what's in it for the future? We have a little bit of time left, and I know that this guy's a busy dude. So I'm glad that you came in and spent some time with us. What's in it for the future? And I want you to plug yourself into as much as possible, so people know where to find you.
Reveal all this. He's got all this stuff he wants to say that he
can say the little basics.
He's dying to tell us, but he can't tell us.
No, I'm. No, there's lots to talk about still. We've recently launched our e-commerce. I mentioned that before. We have men's and women's Kiss shirts, my signature product, as well as our unisex sunglasses, and it's available. We ship free around the world. It's included. My uniforms. I've designed the new uniforms for Air Canada, which I'm really happy, honored about that. No, now we can.
You're dropping hints. It's Canadian.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was it. It was Canadian and big. So
yeah, and you couldn't guess what it was.
No, I couldn't. You really caught me on that one. I didn't even think that it would go that direction. That's awesome. It looked good.
So they're in production right now, and they'll be wearing them. Looks like early next year, which is great.
We closed out the fashion show with that.
Yep, a mini presentation. That's right. And then our footwear is doing really well at Harry Rosen and Browns. We're in lots of great boutiques with our clothing in Italy now, which is an honor. you know, if you can,
That's
I
amazing.
think, you know, if you can get into these stores in that market, there's a lot of potential for us in other markets. So
Yeah, you can bring that to the States or to Canada and say,
Yeah.
look, we're in
Right.
XYZ, so
yeah.
what's the problem here?
Yeah, no, there's no problems. Yeah, the clothes, you know, we're working on a big order for spring right now for a Canadian retailer. So
Right.
yeah, we'll be
quick.
national.
But, I mean, I just had a quick question. What's your favorite hottest new trend that you see on the horizon? Let's talk fall. Summer's gone, spring, summer.
Okay.
Coming up in fall, like what's a must have for the guys here? What's something that's new and exciting that maybe you haven't seen before? It's from the past and it's come back.
Yeah, there's a couple things. One, I would say, you know, a mock neck or a volcano neck or a turtleneck sweater. But pairing that, you know, with a blazer, that look is back.
Coming back.
Yeah, it's back.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
looks really smart.
Okay.
It's very sharp.
Yeah, you pulled that off.
Yeah.
Good.
Recently at the shark party for
Yeah,
Tiff.
Yeah.
Did that.
It's a strong look. It's not just a trend. It's genuinely a
It's not just for
strong
Steve
look.
Jobs, right?
No. Because he was wearing it with dad jeans and sneakers. Like, the other thing is pleated pants. You know, and it sounds bizarre, but they're completely back and they look fantastic. The volume has changed a little bit, so even though there's pleats, there is still some good volume in the waist and upper leg, but from the knee down, it is a tapered pant, so it's not like it's voluminous everywhere like the old ones.
Like the 90s.
And it looks it looks really fresh. I love it. Oversized coats are great, you know, for your top coat, having it just a little bit bigger and flowing, you know, is really
I don't know
nice.
if that works on the big guys like us.
Doesn't-
I think it works on the slim dudes.
Slim guys,
For
yeah.
guys like us, we just love
Because it's big.
like, we're
You don't want
showing
more
up for
volume.
Yeah.
NFL draft day.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
Like in a
It's our
really
first suit
big
ever.
suit,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? That dad gave us.
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Just wear this. Should be good.
You know, and the other thing with pleats is pleats aren't like just pleats. Like you can have single, double.
Yeah, and you can have them closed as well, so it can
Closed.
be almost more of a detail rather than adding
like a dart
volume.
or something.
Yes, like
I
a
would
dart.
go with a single, maybe I can handle.
Yeah, I've got a pair of doubles, and
Yeah,
they're
I can handle
really
it.
cool.
Can we pull it off, Chad and I here?
Yeah,
My
you
legs
can-
aren't as big as yours. Like I think I got
No,
long
yours
legs.
is bigger.
My legs aren't bigger than yours. I don't know. Doesn't really matter.
Hey, you know what?
Doesn't
You got
matter, you're not
to
getting us-
You
don't-
you gotta
you're not
wear it
getting
with
us some
confidence. I think is what it comes down to.
don't just listen to me or anyone. You've got to try it on yourself and look in the mirror and be like, is this something I can pull off? Because not everybody can pull off
Yeah, you're right.
everything.
Yeah,
Several
yeah.
seasons now, menswear designers have been pushing so hard on volume.
Yeah.
Bye skinny jeans. We're talking like baggy pants, baggy overcoats, baggy shirt. I mean, are you jumping on that baggy bandwagon like
No.
guys?
I've listed the things that I think, you know, like the pants having a little bit more of a relaxed fit. Yeah, I'm cool with the oversized coats, but not goofy oversized. I'm talking about just slightly, maybe half size bigger than you normally wear, just for that type of volume. Yeah, I like that. But otherwise, you know, I like my shirts still fitted. I like the sweaters still fitted. And I still like fitted pants as well. I'm offering a few different styles of pants now.
I've given it like thought and I've given it a try, and I found what works is you can go slim or normal with the top and a little loose baggy on the bottom, or reversed. It doesn't work when they're both baggy.
Yeah, and
It's
then you
like
look kind of
Volume
sloppy.
in the pants looks nice
Mhm.
when the top comes up nice and
Yeah,
fitted, and you know what I mean,
Mhm.
or the other way around. So I don't. That's what I found works for me.
yeah, it's a good
Can't
approach.
do total loose or total tight.
I
Or-
can't do this. I can't do it either. I'm not comfortable with it. I'm just not.
And that's why I think
Right.
that idea of yours with the coat really works, because if your suit is nice, I'm not
Yeah.
talking about skin tight or
No,
anything,
no.
but fits right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and a little bit of volume on the coat will look really nice.
Yeah.
Makes a statement.
That's right.
Very good. Well, Mr. Bates, it's that time. You don't have to go.
Yes, I do.
You have to go. All right. Thanks for tons. Also, social media aspect of things. Where can people find you? The .com.
Okay, so yes, our website
E-com.
is christopherbates.com. Instagram is christopher.bates.official, and our Facebook is still C Bates Menswear.
And ecom can be purchased on all the platforms.
Yeah,
Did you?
christopherbates.com.
You
Yeah,
can buy them. It's great.
that's right. Yeah, check it out.
All right, my man. Thank you very much for coming on. And can we have you back on next year to find out this big secret you've been talking about?
Yeah, man.
Yeah?
Of course.
Done. We're going to book this in. Victoria, we're booking them in.
It's
another year for the secret.
It's Sheila.
Oh, sorry. Did I say Victoria? I'm sorry, Sheila.
Not even close.
Nothing wrong with Victoria.
Yeah.
Nice
No, it's a
name.
beautiful name.
It's a beautiful name.
You look like a Victoria.
No.
It's all good. Okay, well, this is the City Podcast. My special host tonight was Spiro Mandylor and my man, Christopher Bates. We look forward to having you again and all the blessings and success to you. We're very proud of you. So keep it up and keep on inspiring, man.
The next podcast out of live from Italy, hopefully.
That'd be nice if he's going to.
Budget.
I think he'd probably have a yacht, his yacht by then.
I think, yeah. If we get a sponsor on board, hit up, you know, all these Italian guys, Peroni.
This is the City Podcast.